Hello, and welcome to The Absurdist. I'm Sarah Painter, a journalist quarantined in New Jersey.
And I'm Hattie Eshelman, an artist and metalsmith, also quarantined in my home studio in Virginia. And this is a podcast called The Absurdist, where the two of us dig through various archives and news headlines and scraps of paper that we find on the ground to try and come up with some of the strangest things going on this very strange planet so that you can hear them and be inspired and or horrified.
And this week is particularly strange, I think, just in the world. There's a lot of strangeness going on with the pandemic. But this week, I have a story on romance in the time of quarantine.
I have a story about a 100-acre insect sanctuary.
Fake animal news stories.
Ooh. Government officials confirmed to not be human.
And India goes to Plan B, which is a pun, on saving the elephants.
Okay. And then I also have a word for procrastinating bibliophiles.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to have some fun things.
Well, I have a really cute story to start us off because I think we need, some uplifting stories right now with all that's going on. I found a story about this guy in Brooklyn named Jeremy Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's quarantined in his apartment, and he looked outside his window and saw this girl named Tori dancing by herself on the roof.
Aww.
And he thought she was really cute, so they waved at each other, and he got an idea. So he taped a piece of paper with his phone number onto his drone and flew it over with a message that said, "Text me."
Oh.
And so she texted him an hour later, and he asked her out on a date. And she was like, "How are we going to have a date right now?" And so he got all dressed up, and he cut his own hair, and he asked her, yeah, I know, he asked her roommate to help him set up. They set up a fancy table with a tablecloth on her roof, and with flowers and a bottle of wine. I'm about to send you a picture of her out there.
Yeah.
And they had matching microwave dinners, and he sat out on his balcony, and then he shouted, "You look beautiful!" And then he FaceTimed her. And they had their date. So, did you get the picture?
Let's see. Let me see if I got it did you text it to me?
Yes.
Okay.
So, the phase 1 was sending the drone. Phase 2 was the date, and he says there's a phase 3 coming. So,
aww,
updates to follow.
That is so precious. That is the makings of a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Like that, I can just see. Oh, I just saw it. Oh, that's so cute.
I know, right? So
wow.
I found this story on Board Panda, which is a website with lots of fun little stories on it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very cute.
Oh, that is delightful. This is becoming a graphic novel in my head. I can just see it all. But I also I don't know, I just feel like it's a story of love winning over all odds because I feel like if I received a piece of paper on a drone that said text me after just enjoying time dancing around by myself on top of my roof, I would feel vaguely threatened. I would be so not open to that. I don't know.
I think I would totally text someone who did that. Yeah.
Okay, well maybe that's just me being jaded and on guard.
I'm more curious than jaded, you know? So it's I have to find out what this is. It's just too interesting.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the person would have to have there would have to be something that made me think, like, oh, this isn't just someone who's gonna be obnoxious. Like, if they had, like, a little drawing or something, or, like, a really thoughtful note, or I don't know. But that's so cute. I love that. Wow. Cool.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about 100-acre insect sanctuary? I
do.
So, it's about a specific kind of insect, which is actually one of our favorite things to talk about on this podcast in the various episodes and practice episodes that we may or may not be publishing. But Sarah and I really like to talk about bees.
Yes.
Because bees are incredible, and they're also completely absurd. Mm-hmm. And they're also just, like, so important and so closely tied to our existence as humans.
Yeah.
Like, I think I know people know that, and people are like, save the bees, and people are concerned. But I think a lot of people are not concerned and are not even aware.
Yeah, and even if they're like, oh yeah, we gotta save the bees because it's important for, like, flowers or whatever, they don't know, like, how cool bees are, you know?
Bees are so cool.
Like, it would be more personal.
Yeah. Bees are super cool. So, it's actually, I put 100-acre insect sanctuary because it just had a nice flow to it. It's like actually
100-acre wood.
Yes, the 100-acre wood. Bees, that's relevant. Winnie the Pooh. It's actually 124 acres.
Ooh.
And it's a bee sanctuary in Mississippi. And it's run by someone surprising. And I'm going to ask a question to see if I can get you to guess who this person is.
Oh my gosh.
So Sarah, here's a question.
Okay.
If your life was an audiobook.
Yeah.
Or a movie or a play.
Okay.
Who would you choose to narrate your life?
I want to say, Morgan Freeman, or who's the guy with, like, the deep voice?
I'm pretty sure that you're talking about Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yes, so Morgan Freeman.
Oh my god!
is the owner of this 124-acre bee sanctuary. A few years ago, back in 2014, which is more than a few years ago now, but he became particularly concerned about honeybees and their survival and their importance to the human race, and so he decided that he was going to do something about it. And so he started with 26 beehives and converted his Mississippi ranch into a massive bee sanctuary, where he actually, like, takes care of the bees himself.
What?
By, like, feeding them sugar water, and, like, he hires people to help him plant, like, bee-friendly trees and flowers. And he said he has no intention of, like, harvesting the honey and using it. His only concern is to take care of the bees. And he never wears a bee suit or a hat. And he says that the bees have never stung him.
Wow.
Because he can resonate with the bees. I watched an article and interview about it, and the person who was interviewing him was, like, giving him such a hard time for not wearing a bee suit. It was like, but Morgan, you have to wear a bee suit. You're gonna get stung. He's like, I've never gotten stung. I'm not gonna ever get stung. And
he's fearless.
And then he was like, well, why do they have the bee suits? And Morgan Freeman was like, the bee suits are for people that can't resonate. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I just found that, like, so encouraging and delightful, and just hope for the bees and for the rest of us.
I also love it that he takes care of them personally.
I know. You just picture, like, Morgan Freeman walking around in this 120-acre bee ranch and, like, feeding the bees this sugar water and just, like, taking that time.
Also because that's, like, probably pretty time intensive. It's got to be, like, one of his main things. It's not just, like, a fun fact, like, oh, he owns a bee farm, you know? Like, This is, like, a huge part of his life.
Right.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if he definitely has people that he's hired that helps out, and I don't know if he does it 100% on the time.
Right.
He probably can't, especially if you're working on big movies and stuff like he is.
Right.
So I tried to get him for an interview, but I'm kidding. I didn't actually try to get him for an interview. Maybe I should have. Check back next week on the podcast, see if we've got Morgan Freeman on the line.
You know, I have to tell you, as a journalist, sometimes I hate, like, reaching out, because, like, sometimes you have to reach out for an interview even though you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to say, like, Yahoo whatever has reached out to blah 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 for comments. Like, I don't want to reach out to them.
I don't want to. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. But I actually have to tell my stories out of order because my next story is about bees as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, great. Tell me.
Okay.
What was your tease for it again? For this one?
My what?
Your headline.
Oh, it was India is going to Plan B for saving the elephants.
Very good. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So bees are going to save us. And they're also going to save the elephants.
Yeah. So
tell me more.
There is a problem in India where elephants they cross the train tracks a lot because they have these, like, migrational patterns that train companies did not take into account when they built their tracks. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, like, they're just on, like, a preserve and the tracks go through it and they just, like, get there. I read a couple of different things, but they've found an interesting solution. Elephants are afraid of bees.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's funny because bee stingers actually can't get through elephants' thick skin.
What?
Yeah.
So why are they afraid of them?
Well, I was reading about it, and it said, like, African bees are more aggressive. Like, that's what The Independent said, which is a UK newspaper. And I don't know. Like, that doesn't... Maybe it's, like, an evolutionary thing, you know? I don't know, but they have this, like, innate fear of bees, even though if a bee stung them, it would not hurt. So the Northeast Frontier Railway in India installed a honeybee sound system in areas where elephants have become a problem. Mm-hmm. So the sound starts playing a little bit before the train arrives, and elephants within 2,000 feet can hear it, and they will go away.
Wow.
Yeah. So they also have, like, electric fences and forest officials keeping an eye out and stuff like that. But the bee method is 80% less expensive than an electric fence. So this could be a real solution.
Yeah.
So that was installed 2 years ago in Rajaji National Park. I really apologize if that's bad pronunciation. And then 50 other locations. And guess how many accidents there have been since then?
Oh, I want to guess. I want to be like, this is 100% effective. Like, 0 accidents. But it's really like, I don't know, like 5? I don't know.
It's 0.
It's 0?
At least according to the United Press International, which I got this from. Yeah.
80% less expensive, 100% effective. This is an obvious...
Yeah.
These are the answer to all of our problems.
Yeah. And so they're also starting to use this to keep elephants off of farms to protect the crops and to keep them from areas where they're likely to get poached. So I read that there are 11 countries in Africa and 4 in Asia that are now using this method.
The bee method.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like this is sending my mind in so many different directions at once because I'm thinking about, like, libraries where they play classical music to, like, discourage hoodlums from, like, hanging out. Oh my
gosh.
Because, like,
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, because classical music is, like, not cool to listen to. So if you're, like, trying to be super cool, it messes with your vibe.
I kind of hate that. Because it's like, they should invite the hoodlums into the library.
Yeah. Well, my library in my
feel like
town
that's-
did that for a while. They played, like, loud classical music to, like, discourage teenagers from hanging out. It was weird.
Do you feel like that has a racial element? I feel like that's kind of
Yeah.
discriminatory.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't know. But it makes me think of that. It also,
Yeah.
there was another one that they did that was, like, a high pitch. There's a frequency that you can't hear if you're over 30 years old. Just because of, like, natural, like, the same reason that people need reading glasses. Mm-hmm. And so they have done that probably in a lot more cases to, like, discourage teenagers from hanging out.
Oh, that sucks. Don't you want to encourage teenagers to read?
Oh, well, that wasn't at libraries. That was, like, other places.
Got it, okay.
But, yeah, so it made me think of that. But then it also made me think of this concept of, like, these animals that are fearing something that it doesn't actually make any sense for them to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of this story, and maybe you've heard this. It was on the Overheard National Geographic podcast about these birds, these island birds, and there are these mice that were introduced to the island, but the birds have no reason to be afraid of the mice because evolutionarily they haven't, like, grown up with the mice. But the birds will, like, sit and, like, sleep, and overnight the mice will come and eat the birds while they are alive. Like, they will eat the flesh off of their skulls.
No!
And the birds haven't learned to be afraid. So the birds are bigger than the mice. They could very easily just, like, bat them off with their wings, but they don't. Because they just, like, they don't have this, like, learned fear that they need to save themselves from these mice that are just gonna eat their skin off in the middle of the night.
That is horrifying.
It's so wild. And there's this whole element of, like, what do we fear? What should we fear?
Wow.
Which is also super relevant right now of, like, the virus, and, like, fear is such a huge response when it doesn't, like, how much, I don't know. It's how much should we be afraid of things? Like, because in situations with the birds, like, if they were more afraid, it would save their lives. But the elephants are afraid of something that they don't need to be afraid of.
Yeah.
But their fear of that is now saving their lives because clever humans have figured out how to use that to keep them from getting hit by cars. So, interesting thoughts. I'm not sure
what
that's
the really interesting
is to that. But
fear, man.
Fear. It's interesting. Yeah.
What is your next story?
So, my next story, I feel like I might actually jump around on mine a little bit too, because I think my second story will go well with what I think I know that your second story is.
Okay.
So I'm going to skip down to my third one, which is the word for procrastinating bibliophiles.
Ooh, I'm so excited because I think that's me.
I can confirm it's you, and it's also me. Also, probably, I heard a theory that this word actually will pretty much describe everyone at some point in their lives. But, so it's a Japanese word. I think I love diving into, like, etymology, and so we could almost have this whole segment of, like, Hattie's Etymology Corner. So, welcome to Hattie's Etymology Corner.
Welcome.
Today, I have a word for you and for anyone else who likes to read and acquires books faster than they can read them.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So the word
I feel directly attacked.
I promise you, I am just as much, if not more, at fault than you are. So
I have a rule that I'm not allowed to buy more books until I read the ones I have.
I know, and it's bad because I don't even, like, buy the books. Like, books just find their way to me.
That's true.
They just come into my life. Like, someone's just like, oh, I think you would like this book, and they just hand me a book, and then I have one more book than I had before, and then I go to walk on the Peaksview Park, or at least I did, and when Society was still running, and they have the little free library, and then I find, like, 3 incredible books for free that I've been, like, trying to find for years anyways, so...
Okay, I'm so excited. What is the word?
The word is Tsundoku.
Tsundoku.
Tsundoku. It's
Wow.
spelled Tsundoku.
Like tsunami and Sudoku.
Pretty much, yeah. Tsundoku. I watched a couple videos of, like, people pronouncing it so that I could, like, pronounce it. It's a combination of different Japanese words. And so it combines the word tsunde, meaning to stack things.
Okay.
Oku, meaning to leave for a while. And doku, meaning to read. So that pile of books
Okay.
that sits there for a while.
Wow.
That is Tsundoku in action. So
This just makes me think of like stack and run, like a hit and run. You know?
Stack and run. Just stack all your books in the corner and run away.
It's like a crime.
Yeah. And so I'm not, they're kind of like some different technical definitions, but like the definition that I read is the habit of buying too many books, letting them pile up in your house, and never reading them. So
oh my gosh.
Part of it is this concept of books that you have acquired that you will actually never read.
Yeah. Okay, can I tell you something?
Yes.
I was thinking about this yesterday because of quarantine, I have a little bit more time on my hands, even though I'm still really busy because the news cycle is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But since I have a little more time, I was like, I should do some reading because, like, I used to read a book a week. Now
that is impressive.
I was so proud of myself, but I mean, I haven't finished a book since the summer. So I looked up on my shelf, and I was like, I don't want to read any of these books. I think that I have this, like, self that I envision that wants to read all of these heavy, like, downer journalism books. Ah,
yes.
But what I actually want to read is fiction.
Yeah.
You know? And so I went up to my childhood bedroom because I live in a different bedroom now. And still with my parents though. And looked in my bookshelf up there and brought down 3 books. I got The Scarlet Pimpernel, Jane Eyre, and Inkheart.
Oh, Inkheart is so good!
Yeah, so I'm starting Inkheart, and, you know, I actually wanted to read Great Expectations because that's actually one that I haven't read before, but I've misplaced it, so this is a real quandary. Anyway, book problems.
Book problems. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And also, like, your vision of self compared to, like, your reality of self.
Yeah. You could definitely have a whole, like, photography series that's, like, my ideal self's bookshelf and my actual self's bookshelf. Mm-hmm. Like, these are the books that I wish that I was the kind of person that I read, and these are the books that I actually read.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Ah, man. No, I definitely had a huge Tsundoku moment a couple years back when it was like summer. It would have been summer of 2016, and I was super bored, and I was living in this tiny, tiny town, and there was nothing to do, but there was a library walking distance from my house, and they had a sale, and the books were like $1 for paperbacks, and so I just like see a paperback that I liked the look of the cover even. Like, I've never even heard of it. I might read like a sentence or two off the back and be like, sure, I'll pay $1 for this. And so I walked home with this like huge stack of books like all the way up to my nose if I was holding them like with my arms outstretched. And they sat in a pile in my room, and I read like 2 or 3 of them, and then they just kind of like moved with me the next time I moved. And then I was doing my, like, minimalist purging that I did last year. And I was just, like, getting rid of all of them. And on a whim, I picked one up, and I read the first page. And then I was, like, so hooked. And it ended up being, like, one of my favorite books that I've ever read.
Wow.
So, if I didn't read, like, 80% of the books that I got at the library for $1, like, it was worth it for that one book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hattie, can I go off on a little tangent here? I know
Please.
we're kind of like really pausing on this one story,
please.
but
No, it's great.
I have a little bit of like an internal dilemma with my sense of purpose in life.
Oh no. I mean, don't we all? But yes.
Yeah. Because like I would really like to, I don't know, like I would really like to write fiction books because I love fiction, but it's like, do we really need more? Like, there's already more out there than you can possibly read that is so amazing. Like, all I would be doing is competing with amazing works of literature that are already great.
Yes, but to speak as a maker,
True.
I make things because they get inside my head and they demand to get out. Like,
Yeah.
there are things inside of us.
It's because you're the real deal.
And you're brilliant, and you would make something, and you would write something that would be, like, so delightful, and it would just, like, capture people's hearts in such a special way. And I think that, yes, there are so many books out there, and there are way more books than any one person could ever read in a lifetime. But, like, if you have something inside of you that needs to be put out there, like, don't feel like you need to be, I don't know,
Like, make it
submissive
for
to
you.
the things around that already exist.
Yeah. That's cool.
I don't know.
Okay,
That's my
wait,
thought.
whose turn is it now?
It's your turn.
Okay. Well, I already gave you the headline on this one beforehand. Fake animal news stories. So, we got coronavirus going around, the novel coronavirus, and it's upsetting. And a lot of people are really craving good news. There have been a lot of stories going around recently about nature being restored with people inside, and they're just these really kind of like wholesome, uplifting, like so cute. And actually, when I first saw one of these, I screenshotted it and was like, I gotta send this to somebody, you know? But actually, most of them aren't true. So, like, one person tweeted that swans had returned to the canals in Venice. But they actually are usually in that part. And
Swans have returned to their usual spot.
Yeah. And also that dolphins were in the canals. But the pictures were actually filmed at a port in Sardinia, not in Venice. Yeah. And so the tweeter of this tweet came out later and said that they were actually, like, mistaken and wish they could edit it. You can't edit posts on Twitter. But one thing that is true about this is that the water is clearer. So, like, you can, like, see through the water more. It's less polluted. So, like, there is a certain element to this that is true. But, you know, there's a lot. And then the one that I had screenshotted was, it was a picture of some elephants just, like, passed out in a little garden. And it said, with everybody, like, indoors, elephants broke into a tea garden and got drunk on corn wine and then took a nap. And I was like, this is so cute. But it is not true.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so, I just think that's so strange that, like, this is an effect of a global pandemic. Like, there's so much fake news going around, but you would expect it to have, like, a sinister purpose,
right.
You know?
Right, yeah, it's like, what's the motivation for making up a story about elephants napping? And I guess it's what you said, is, like, people really want good, happy news, and so they're gonna be more likely to click on something that's like, oh, a heartwarming, uplifting, like, dolphins are in the canals, and the butterflies are everywhere, and
And I think that, like, people are more likely to share fake news right now because they're scared and they're not being methodical in the way they take in news. For all of our listeners, a little tip from a journalist: if you read something that sounds too crazy to be true, Google it and see if the New York Times or some reputable publication has reported on it. Because if it's from an obscure place and it's like sounds too good to be true, it may be. So that is my plug on fake news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. Well.
Okay. Your turn.
Speaking of animals.
Yeah.
And news and politics. I guess we were kind of speaking of politics, yes. So my second thing for today, or my third because we switched things around, is government officials confirmed to not be human. And
what?
Yes. And by not human, I mean that we have a significant population of animals that function in quasi-political roles in our country. So I wish that I had more time to dive into the broad range of different animals that serve specifically as mares.
I actually read one about that recently.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was yours? Was it?
I think it was a dog.
A dog. Yeah. Dogs are super common. We have a bunch of dog mares in the United States. Today I want to introduce you to a couple of cat mares.
Aww.
Because I love cats.
Yeah.
And because it was my first introduction to this as a thing, was just I came across something that was like, oh, did you know that a cat was mayor in this town?
Oh my gosh.
So the most famous cat mayor, arguably, is, or was, because he unfortunately passed away in 2017. But Stubbs the cat was honorary mayor of Talkeetna, Alaska for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So from 1997 to 2017, this cat served as the honorary mayor for this it's a small hamlet. It's about 900 people in Talkeetna.
Wow.
Yes. So he
I feel like a lot of these are in Alaska.
Alaska is home of the strange and wonderful and slightly unbelievable. Like this is what it is. And so Stubbs ruled supreme for 20 years, and every afternoon he would drink water out of a wine glass and eat catnip.
Nice.
And people came all over. There was the general store that his owners ran was like his mayoral office. So people would come to the general store to see him and get to meet the mayor. There was an assassination attempt in which Stubbs was attacked by a dog. But he made a full recovery.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's Stubbs. All of the pictures of him, he looks like one of those like very grumpy old cats, and he's just like so delightful in his general distaste of everything around him. That's my impression of like seeing pictures of him.
Oh my gosh.
So there's Stubbs, but more recently, there is another mayor who is a cat in Omaha, Michigan, which is even smaller than Talkeetna. It's 250 people. So the cat's name is Sweet Tart, and she's a calico. And Omaha is actually, they've had animals as their mayor for years now, so she's not the first animal mayor of Omaha. But they had an election that was all animals. So Sweet Tart's opponents included 13 dogs, a peacock, another cat, and a goat. So she was the reigning champion and therefore became mayor.
That's amazing.
Yeah. One of her campaign statements was, on her profile, it read, "I have had experience with governing / supervising my household. And having been vice mayor for 3 years, fulfilling all my expected duties, I know I can handle the the mayor position. So, yeah, so she won.
Wow.
There's a picture of her wearing a cute little, like, toy crown. The election's actually run by the Omaha Historical Society as a fundraiser, so you, like, pay $1 to vote. But yeah, so she will hold the role of mayor until 2021. And she actually has, like, a whole cabinet of other officials, including the first vice mayor, Diablo Shapiro the dog, second vice mayor, Pumpkin Anderson Harden the dog, press secretary, Harley Jones the goat.
Oh my gosh.
And special assistant for fowl issues, Penny Labriola the chicken.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So, that's the menagerie.
That's amazing.
The menagerie of beings who are in charge of running Omaha, Michigan. So,
wow.
But most of these places are places that don't actually need a mayor. Like, they don't need a human mayor because they're unincorporated communities, like smaller towns.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. And then I have one more cat who I think holds, of the 3 cats that I'm introducing you to today, I think this cat actually holds the most official of positions, because the other 2 are like honorary mayors.
Yeah.
But for this, we take you to the UK.
Okay.
To meet Larry the cat.
Larry,
who is an official employee of the UK government, appointed by the Prime Minister, David Cameron.
Wow.
His full title is Chief Mouser to the Cabinet Office of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and North Ireland.
Oh my goodness.
So,
wow.
Yes, as Chief
Thank you
Mouser,
so much for that.
Yes. He's in charge of keeping the Prime Minister's residence free of mice.
Wow.
So I thought that was absolutely delightful.
That is delightful.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
But bizarre and banal, I have something to share.
Please.
My parents are musicians, and we're quarantined, which is problematic for entertaining. But my parents are still able to teach voice lessons. I was down in the basement, and I heard singing upstairs, not of someone in my family, and I was immediately concerned. I was like, this is a very bad idea, because they usually have, like, I don't know, like, I think my mom has, like, 7 students, my dad has, like, 3, maybe, I'm not sure, I'm just guessing, and, to have, like, 10 people each week, like, traipsing in and out of our house is, like, really gonna put us at risk. So I was like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? I go upstairs, and they're FaceTiming with somebody. They're actually able to teach voice over, like, a video chat.
Incredible.
And I just think that's crazy. Like, and I'll hear them say things like, I can't tell if maybe it's the sound quality or something you're doing, you let me know, but blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they also, like, have the student play the accompaniment, like, recorded on their side, so that any time lag is, like, in sync for my parents, because usually my parents will accompany while they sing, but if they did that, it wouldn't, like, you wouldn't hear the singing and the piano at the same time.
Okay.
So, like, I just think it's really interesting, and I think it's a great thing, because there are so many kids, like, at home right now, that, like, I just think it's great that they can continue having voice lessons and, like, having something positive to do with their time.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something that I've been saying for, like, the past week, is that, because that, I think, is such an example of this, is, like, I have such this strong feeling that, like, we're experiencing the future. Like, this is the future. Like, it's 2020. Like, this is the global pandemic of all of the post-apocalyptic novels, like, science fiction, and then the fact that we're all still connected by these screens, but we're all, like, confined in our houses. I just think of, like, so many movies, like the
I know.
the slightly unimpressive movies that you watch on Netflix late at night. And you're like, well, that maybe was a waste of 2 hours, but nevertheless.
Oh my gosh.
But then also, like, I have that feeling, but then equally as strongly, I have the feeling of, like, knowing beyond the shadow of doubt that we're experiencing history. Mm-hmm. So it's, like, this really interesting confluence of history and future that are happening, like, so strongly in my mind, like, as an effect of the exact same thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's an example of that.
So crazy. I think that's a lovely way to put it.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
I need a Japanese word that describes that feeling. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I have a coronavirus-related bizarre comment/anecdote.
Okay.
Which is, so when I am at work, which my work is closed right now for at least 2 weeks, but who knows? But I work at a pawn shop, and I'm a jeweler, but then I've been doing some of the sales side of things, too, so, like, actually interacting with customers. And so, a couple weeks ago, when we were still open, I was working the sales floor, and this lady came in, and this was after, like, most of the city had already started to shut down, and so I think at this point, we were the only pawn shop that was still open. And then for the most part, it's like most, like, restaurants were shut, and most, is pretty much just, like, grocery stores and essential things that were open.
Right.
So, anyways, but we were still open. And this lady came in to, like, pay on one of her loans or something, and she was like, oh, I've got to get to work, and so we asked, like, oh, where are you working? And she's like, Kroger. And so we're like, oh, yeah, I bet you've got some stories. I bet it's crazy. And she's like, yeah, it's nuts. And she was talking about how people would, like, be shopping really late. Like, they close at 10, but people would come in at 10, and she'd be like, good luck finding someone to check you out, because I'm leaving. So, like, we're closed.
Wow.
But the thing that she said that I was like, wait, what? Is that, yes, it's crazy, and, like, people are coming in and, like, buying lots of toilet paper and canned things and, like, whatever. But she said that it's, like, the same people are coming back, like, 2 and 3 times a day.
What?
I know. And I don't, like, I have so many questions, and I have no answers to these questions, but it's like, who are these people? What are they buying? Like, why do you feel the need to come back to the grocery store every day 2 and 3 times?
Yeah.
Is it, like, a panic-driven thing? Like, it's so weird.
Wow.
So
that is crazy.
I don't know what's up with that, but if you have any musings.
Well, I mean, do you think they're just, like...
I can't hear you all of a sudden.
Oh. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's much better. What happened?
Oh.
What'd you do?
Nothing.
Oh, weird. I think maybe my headphones weren't plugged in all the way.
Aha. Okay, here's my musing. I think a lot of people, because it's like an elevated time of stress right now, are like any anxiety or like hoarder tendencies might be elevated right now, and like maybe it's just like almost like I don't know if it's the right term to say it's a compulsion, but like because they can't possibly need to go to the grocery store that many times a day,
right?
Unless they're like ministry, like shopping for other people, you know.
Oh, okay.
Could be that. I don't know.
That's an interesting and heartening hypothesis.
Yeah.
Like, that would be... I want to live in the world where that hypothesis is the truth.
Yeah.
So, that's super interesting. Yeah. Well, because my grandparents have someone bringing them groceries.
Yeah.
And they, and they're
nice.
stressed now because they're like, oh, well, what if they, like, we don't want to ask this person to continue doing this for a long time. But then they don't have the, like, technological know-how to get the, like, online food delivery to work, so. But,
oh my gosh, have you heard about this grocery video of a guy there's this guy who did a video about how to, like, wipe down your groceries when you bring them into your house?
No.
I haven't watched it, but my mom and Mariah, my best friend in New Jersey, have both watched this video and have, like, it really freaked them out.
Oh my gosh.
And, like, my mom is cleaning all of the groceries before she puts them away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Taking it very seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. It makes sense, but it also, there's, like, this sense of, that's just, like, so much to do. And especially if you're, because I understand if you're, like, at risk and have conditions, like, absolutely take as many precautions as possible. But I don't know that I'm willing to, like, wipe down every single, like, wow. That's kind of, that
it's just so hard to know. It's just so hard to know right now, like, what you should be doing, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is. This is a wild, strange life.
Wild, strange life.
And if anyone would like to contact us with the bizarre in their lives, they can email contact@theabsurdistpodcast.com.
Yes. Please send us your stories. Send us bizarre things that have happened, especially if they're related to the virus or not related to the virus. Just we want to hear about your life. So.
And we'd like to thank our producer, Ryan Kerr.
Yes.
Who produces.
Thanks, Ryan. You're the best.
Okay.
We super appreciate you.
And thank you, listener, for tuning into The Absurdist.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.